A little Bob Dylan to begin our musings on this first full week of May. Dylan sounds as tuneful as ever in that 1969 song called What Good Am I Now? Which might be a question a lot of us are asking ourselves these days. I mean, this is getting long now, this isolation, this quarantine, even as the weather has turned lovely and we can walk and bike outside while still keeping a couple of hockey sticks distant from each other. But it's getting long. 7 weeks now, if we begin counting from when we first closed the church and closed the entire economy. And we just want it to be over. Sometimes it seems that so much of human life is just waiting for things to be over. But we don't know when this is going to be over, and there may not be an over in the sense that things will return to normal, the kind of normal we enjoyed just last year. I mean, there's a lot we don't know. We don't know how long it will take to develop an effective vaccine, or whether the virus will subside during the summer, or whether it'll mutate and come back even stronger. We don't know if this induced economic downturn will be a long recession or turn into another Great Depression. We just don't know. And all that not knowing is hard, but not as hard as not knowing what to do with ourselves since our carousel of distractions ended so suddenly back in mid-March. And we've had to stay home, physically disconnected from everything we've known how to do. Now, most people I've talked to say that they're doing fine, everything is okay, but that they miss the church, they miss the gatherings, the social, musical, and worshipful interactions that make the church what it is, and that they're stuck with themselves now. I mean, there are so many masks you can make, only so many letters you can write and phone calls you can make and good works you can do. But with so little to do, not many more good works to accomplish, we're all asking, along with Bob Dylan, what good am I now? Who am I now? Well, the answer to that is we're as good as ever, and maybe better, because we've had to shift from doing mode into being mode. And hey, that's what the church, not the local congregation or this or that denomination, but the mystical body of Christ, that's what the body of Christ has been suggesting to us from the very beginning, to get curious about who we really are. Remember the story of Jesus at his baptism in the Jordan River. Up to that point, he'd done absolutely nothing. No healings, no feedings of multitudes, no teaching or preaching. And the voice from heaven still called him beloved. If after slowing down for 7 weeks, it's a nice biblical number, we find ourselves unable to distract ourselves with our usual activities, we have to take stock of ourselves. We have to step back and look at who we are. That's hard to do. In fact, it's sheer bravery to do this. It may not be newsworthy bravery like those frontline workers who are putting their lives on the line in a physical way, but it's no less consequential. If we spend some minutes every day pondering in a non-distracted way who we are, tracing back the investment that we have in our feelings and our fears, our prejudices and predilections, well, we're putting our lives on the line too. Biblical characters are well known for doing this, often with the help of a prophet like King David or a dream like Peter in the book of Acts. There's the Apostle Paul writing in his letter to the Galatians about his brutal culture wars with Peter and Jesus' brother James, and coming to the conclusion that he had been an egotistical, law-bound, self-justifying butthead. That's from the original Greek. And it was only when he got his enormous ego out of the way and looked deeper that he found that he was beloved by God, that Christ was living within him. It's no longer I who live, he wrote, but Christ who lives within me. So whether we have an over or underinflated ego, whether we're too judgmental or too indecisive, whatever, under it all, we can come to the awareness of being beloved with a capital B. And this kind of work can only be done when there's no other work to do, no TV, movies, or news, or hobbies, or dramas to distract us. It's the main business of being human, I think. To know ourselves, and not just that, but to know ourselves as beloved, to know that it never was us who lived, but Christ, God's anointed, who lives in us. One last thing. In the Gospel of Thomas, that collection of Jesus' sayings that was discovered in 1945, because humans weren't ready for it before then, Jesus says, in saying number 17, I will reveal to you what no eye can see, what no ear can hear, what no hand can touch, what cannot be imagined by the mind. Well, what is it that we can't hear, touch, see, or even imagine? Well, I think it's this awareness, which is witnessing the seeing, hearing, touching, and imagining. It's the awareness that it's not our egoic self that's doing it, but somebody, deeper, unchanging, and utterly beloved. So let's do some brave work while we wear our masks and stay home for God knows how much longer. It is brave indeed to do this work. As Bob Dylan takes us out, remember to catch Terry's Sunday service on this same channel, and see you on the other side.